Yes, I'm going to talk about Luke Skywalker again. Because he really matters a lot, especially to Disney and Lucasfilm. Because you know what sells toys? Luke Skywalker sells toys. Yes, he does. Rey didn't. No, poor Rey. I actually do. I'm not kidding. I do feel sorry for the character of Rey. She never really got a story, never had a chance, and all that. But anyway, what do? I mean, you had this big sequel trilogy, and it was terrible, and everyone's mad at it, and all this call for retconning it. How do they do it? Well, one of the theories was, time travel, more or less, has been already introduced thanks to the cartoons where you had the world between worlds, or the veil of the Force, as Doomcock calls it, and that could be utilized to change it all into where the sequel trilogy is just an alternate timeline and not what happened. A lot of people would love this, and in a lot of ways it could restore the EU storyline, more or less, but the problem in that is, boy, they spent a lot of money on those movies. And the opportunity to further tell Luke Skywalker's story has come and gone. You would have to retcon it and maybe do a series or something like that. But that great moment, which is no one can do anything about it. Sadly, Carrie Fisher has passed away, and you can't get the band back together to do a proper send-off for those characters. So the moment has passed, and it cannot be returned to. But the narrative of Star Wars, of course, can be corrected one way or another. And so, yeah, they could do alternate timeline stuff, which is very much in keeping with a series like Star Trek. Even though it's been introduced in Star Wars, I don't know how many people would go for that. I mean, some would be, look, I'll take it. Let's just fix it and move on so I can have my Star Wars back and stuff like that. So maybe it would, but there is another possibility. And this is an idea that's come from this site, Pirates and Princesses, which I think is made by those people who do the Clownfish TV YouTube channel, Neon and Geeky Sparkles. But anyway, covers a lot of Disney stuff. And so this writer, what was it, WDW, the name went by, came up that this is what they're hearing, that this might be the plan for how to fix things and moving forward out of Mandalorian, which Mandalorian certainly proved that people want Luke Skywalker, and so that debate is over. So anyway, here's the little snippet that it gave, that in the Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker takes on Grocu, Baby Yoda, and as his Padawan. However, Grocu's blood has already been extracted by the forces of the dark side, which they'll use to bring about the sequences leading up to the sequel trilogy. So that was one of my fears within this, because you do get some teases here and there. And the doctor that was working on Baby Yoda for Moff Gideon admitted he's a clone tech. And so early on, the suspicion was that Baby Yoda really was Baby Yoda, that he was a clone of Yoda and that sort of thing. But no, but they want his blood to probably create clones of Force-sensitive peoples. And so this seems and sounds like it could inevitably lead to the creation of Snoke. Of course, we got teases of Snoke's story. Never really got it fleshed out. He never got a story either. But in The Rise of Skywalker, where Kylo is confronting Palpatine, initially, and he says, how can you still be alive? And he talks about there are, powers in the dark side that some think are unnatural and all that. And you see, these tanks of Snokes in there that must have been failed clones. And that he had just created Snoke as a puppet to use from afar. So this could all fit in to that as the storyline going forward. Yeah, I know. I'm not too crazy about it, but anyway, here's this deal that it could all center around Grocu. So Grocu does not die when Kylo Ren attacks and kills Luke Skywalker's Jedi's in training the school. Luke will be retconned to have expected Ben Solo to do so, and will have made the painful decision to send Grocu into hiding before it occurs. So part of that intersects with the Mandalorian story. So I'm not going to go into detail here about it. So apparently he knows some spoilers about how the series will go forward with Mandalorian, so he's not going to go into it. But I'll leave a link to the article so you can read it in its totality, and rather than just sit here and read it all, someone else's work. But the idea, and this occurred to me at the time, and I thought it would have been something they would have done for Rise of Skywalker, which is when they should have done something like this, that Luke's whole act in The Last Jedi was just that, an act, and that he was forced to do so for some reason. Now here they're going to make it all about Grocu, that he's this special child and fulfillment of the prophecy that involves Anakin's prophecy about, yes, he's prophesied to destroy the Sith, but now Grocu comes to join the light and dark, and I think this will get into the idea of gray Jedi. And in a lot of ways, Luke Skywalker kind of was that, and that he was able to confront the dark side and not be taken over by it. And so Grocu could be this type who will, sort of seal the deal here under Luke's tutelage, and also apparently Anakin, his Force Ghost, will be guiding Grocu. And so now there's, out of this, apparently there's a plan to have a Grocu-centered trilogy for Star Wars. And so all of this will go, I guess, for an adult Grocu going forward about what he is about. So it resolves around that Luke had to hide Grocu, and to the point that he would have had to destroy the old Jedi texts. And apparently one of these books they're referring to, the Ramagon, reveals this prophecy that this is why Grocu is so significant, and that's why he had to destroy it. And little did he know that Rey had stolen it. So Grocu's in danger because the books survive and Rey has them. So I'm kind of wondering, does this mean that Rey will actually get a story and be involved in the old Grocu story down the line? Boy, I don't know if Daisy Ridley is interested in any more Star Wars. But I suppose they could recast and say it's an older woman, down the road or what have you. But anyway, so that danger still exists for him. Yeah, that's a means by where they maintain the sequel trilogy, but Luke was not really the character that he appeared to be. And it also gives reference, but he's dying there. Well, he said he would give his life to protect the child. And so under this narrative, that's exactly what he did. Of course, as the Force goes, he could continue and whatnot, but it still it cuts into it to where it's all about Rey, isn't it? And no, and I would submit that it, even left alone, it isn't, because she never really gets a story. At the last minute, they shoehorn in this Palpatine crap with her, but that's still a bad problem. It's not as bad as the character assassination of Luke, which this sort of plot can correct, but Palpatine being alive, that's a problem. So hopefully there'll be some explanation for that as well, that it wasn't really Palpatine, and just another puppet from some other horrible dark side, or would probably, maybe Plagueis comes back, I don't know. But all that type of stuff, and it's not entirely a bad idea, but like I said, I think it's something that should have been part of the Rise of Skywalker storyline, and it should have been about Ben Solo and his going insane with the Force. Something happened there that's unprecedented, and that's what drove Luke to go to the ancient temple and try to find a solution, but also keep secret. And that it's supposed to be a family drama. It's supposed to involve generations, and so now Luke would be the old man, and the children of the Skywalker, the grandchildren of Anakin, would now be the main story. And in that means you needed your main character to be a Skywalker. So Rey just taking the name doesn't really work. She needed to be Luke's daughter for the most part. And in that instance of him hiding her, would have gone a long way, in that he has to pretend he doesn't like her, he doesn't want anything to do with her, and all this. And you can understand the pain that he was in order to do that. Also weave in the story that his wife died as a result of all this at the hands of Kylo and this sort of thing. Is almost like a tease of a setup, and I have to wonder if that was thought of at some point in The Force Awakens, where Lor San Tekka is on the same planet Rey's living on, and you can't help but wonder, is he there like Obi-Wan looking over this girl, and he's the only one who knows who she is and where she is, because Luke would have left it up to him to find someplace that he doesn't know about, so that it can't be revealed, because this business of, force sensitive people being able to sense one another and even read minds at some point, it would have exposed them. And I think that would have made it a better narrative had they'd actually sat down and done that for Luke's reasons and why he is the way he is and where he is, and also for Rey to have a story. And even as late as Rise of Skywalker, it would have still been pretty sloppy and bad, but some kind of revelation there could have worked better, I think, in that. And possibly she even redeems Ben Solo at the end and all that, but still, narrative-wise and fitting into the family soap opera that is the Skywalker saga, would have been much better. But it's too late. That didn't happen, and so now it appears that Grocu will be the center of that story, and the one that Luke is trying to defend, and so to give an explanation for his attitude. So that might be the compromise of how they do it, without outright, doing a alternate universe solution like Star Trek. So. I don't know which would work. I know that the sequel trilogy is, for all intents and purposes, has to be fixed and or just completely abandoned. And the article it kind of compares it to the idea that Superman died once, although that was kind of well received. It was a high selling story, but then of course he came back, but then like the big deal that was the death of Superman just kind of, it's something that happened, but we've moved on beyond that. So that's kind of the position the sequel trilogy would hold after that. So don't know. Would you rather it be an alternate universe or something like this? Because it's such a mess to try to make that work and force it in there. To me, it still has the problem of the Skywalker family in and of itself is not the focus of the story. Is now this Baby Yoda character, but it might work. And for the most part, a Mandalorian has gone to great lengths to propping up Star Wars, which is still on thin ice as we go. So, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.